All right, what's up? Welcome in, everybody. Bear down. This is going to be one that you can come back and look at as we get closer to the offseason. This is not indicative at all of saying the Bears are going to lose out. They're not going to make the playoffs. This isn't about where the Bears are picking or even a mock draft. This has nothing to do with positional or, specific players. Actually, I'll do a couple players at the end that I think are kind of being overlooked right now just because that's the basis of this channel. But this channel has been built around kind of pretending that you're GM a little bit, stepping into the role of Ryan Poles and acting like you are going to make decisions for the Bears. I've done that with the salary cap. I've done it through all the drafts that this channel really grew through the draft. So this is one of the things I love to do and I love to bring to you guys. So we're going to go through the roster construction, contracts of when they're expiring. We will break out the spreadsheets. And then I'm going to go into really what the team needs are as we head into the offseason and then into the draft, and probably what our most important picks are for the draft. So if this is something you want to reference, look back to as we go through the offseason, maybe look at, as we get closer to the end and get that draft position, we can kind of look back at this. But this will be kind of a guide as we move forward towards that into the offseason. So we'll have the spreadsheets here on the bottom, so nothing's changed there. You'll have, the stuff here. I'm not going to go through, the actual salary cap. That's not the point of this one. It's going to be more of, you see 2025's roster, 2026. See, Case Keenum is an unrestricted free agent, so that spot is missing right here. So we're going to need a third quarterback. And then you get down here, Travis Homer is a free agent. Will we re-sign him? Will he go somewhere else? Will we draft someone? You see Deion Hankins, to me, he's a practice squad injured reserve. So that's kind of like the Ian Wheeler role last year. We held on to him because he was injured. Do I really think he's going to make the 53-man roster? I thought Ian Wheeler had a better shot of making the 53-man roster than Deion Hankins. So on each one of these, I'll have up here the needs and the likely source of them. This is in my opinion, obviously. We all have an opinion, but I have kind of a basis for mine, and that's why we have a channel here. And it gives you some information. You don't have to agree with me on everything. You can look at that, make your own assumptions, your own decisions off of it, and then ultimately we'll see what the Bears do in the offseason. But as it stands right now in the backfield quarterback room, so I was kind of given a basis for this first area, and then we'll go through each section. For the quarterbacks and running backs, I think we need a third-string quarterback. To me, that's a low level. You've got Caleb Williams, got a high level backup in Tyson Bagent that just signed his extension. So this is going to be a free agent or an undrafted free agent, even maybe even one of those 7th round draft picks, since we have 3 7th rounders right now. So this is not a high, focus. It'll be someone important. Maybe even Case Keenum re-signs as a free agent on a vet minimum deal because his time in the league as a starter and a backup is up. But basically, as a coaching role, he could fill into that and, get the vet minimum, get $1.5 million, $2 million to stay on and continue to help see things in the film room, help Caleb out, help Tyson Bagent develop. So that's not unheard of. So that could be the avenue. But good teams continue to bring in youth like Tyson Bagent a couple of years ago in the draft. On the free agent draft, the undrafted free agent, they bring those guys in, they develop them, and they see what they've got. And it can always be someone that takes over, or someone they can trade later, or someone that can fill in an emergency. So for the running back position, Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift are solidifying themselves. You may not agree with this. I'm not going to go through speculation of who could be cut, not cut. That's not the point. It's just the actual contracts that are expiring. You look at DeAndre Swift next year, $8.83 million. A lot of people think that's too expensive. Well, for how he's performed this year and being, very revitalized, hitting, the last game, hitting his helmet straight into defenders, bouncing off of them, going for another 7 yards, averaging plus 4 yards a carry this year. He's finding himself very valuable. I don't see us cutting him, especially when the running back room is so cheap as a whole. Could we add to it? I think so, and probably a rotational running back through the draft. I'll get into this later, but I don't see with the needs of this team us really reaching and going for a running back at the top of this draft. All right, next position is one that we really hammered on last year. So it's been focused on, but there's a couple lingering needs left. Now, Darnell Wright looking like one of the best right tackles in the league. As of right now, statistically 3rd best right tackle, but I'd argue he's 2nd best, and he's right up there as a Pro Bowler, All-Pro for sure. Jonah Jackson coming on really strong, showing why the Bears went out and traded a 6th rounder and extended him. Drew Dahlman looking really good. His pass pro was suspect at the beginning of the year, and now it's really come on strong. This team has gelled and come together. Looks really solid. Joe Thuney, Hall of Famer, All Pro. There's nothing left to say about Joe Tooney except he's lived up to every bit of trading him for a fourth and extending him to a solid contract. So down here, you can see he'll make $21.5 million next year. Jonah Jackson, 17. Drew Dahlman, 14. Darnell Wright, 6. He'll be on the last year of his contract. Will we exercise a fifth-year option? Will we extend him after next year? Either way, 2027 is built better for the salary cap, so it'll look good then, and it's a good time for that. And I personally think we'll extend him rather than do the fifth-year option thing, but he's definitely earned it. Ozzie Trapillo, Luke Newman, developing from last year's draft class. Karan Amagaji, still on the IR. We'll see what ends up happening with him. He may get cut, but that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is just to show the expiring contracts. Theo Benedict, you see up here, the ERFA, that's exclusive right free agent. He's the only one on the team this year that's an exclusive right free agent. We had a couple last year, and we exercised both of them. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't exercise Theo Benedict. He's our starting left tackle right now. So to get him for just over $1 million next year is a no-brainer. They will exercise that. Now, whether he's the starting left tackle next year or not is up for debate. And so I've got starting left tackle in the draft as something that needs to be a priority. That's a need for us. Now, when they draft him, then you still got to come into camp, and he'll likely do what they did last year. You had Braxton Jones, Theo Benedict, and Ozzie Trapillo competing for that starting role. Braxton ended up winning it, ended up losing it to Ozzie and Theo, and then Theo's taken it over. Braxton's now on the injured reserve. He'll come back week 12. At least that's when he's eligible to come back. Will they give him more reps? I don't know. Most likely he'll sign somewhere else this next offseason. Will it be enough for us to get a comp pick? I sure hope so. Getting him some more reps would help with that, though. So either way, Theo Benedict right here is going to be competing for that starting job. I think we need to draft one, and I think we need to draft one high up in the draft to continue to bring that competition. Ozzie, Theo, I think Ozzie will stay as the backup right tackle. I know a lot of people don't like that because that was a second-round draft pick. It is what it is. You've drafted him. He's a solid backup. He's a solid rotational guy. I think the starter needs to be here, and the swing guy will come out of the loser of those two. But not loser, but the one who doesn't win the starting job. Anyways, that's where we stand. Braxton Jones, Ryan Bates are the unrestricted free agents. I think both of them are gone next year. Luke Newman talked extensively by the front office last year about how they drafted him to be a center guard combo, which is really what Ryan Bates is. We haven't had to see Ryan Bates at all because Drew Dahlman, Joe Tooney, and Jonah Jackson are. This offensive line has been durable more than anything else. They're not missing any time other than the left tackle position. Darnell Wright a little bit. But it's looking really good on the interior. So Luke Newman's developing right now as the guard center combo / maybe we draft. But either way, a backup interior offensive lineman, free agency draft, undrafted free agency, something not really that important to have a starter quality. So, maybe a 5th rounder, maybe a 7th rounder, maybe someone we pick up for a cheap free agent. Either way, not a top priority is the point of that one. So starting left tackle is really the thing here that I see at the offensive line. And we'll go through this. I'm going to give a spoiler, but when all is said and done, when we count through all these, what we have left on the roster after re-signing Theo Benedict, and the only reason I did that is exclusive right. He's a league minimum. You get him for free, basically. So there's no reason the Bears wouldn't exercise that. That's the only assumption I've made here. Then the Bears have 40 on the roster. So we need 13 more for the 53-man. You're going to bring in well more than that. You'll see that for the 90-man camp. We're not going to fill out the whole 90-man camp, but you've got 40. You need 13 more, but most of your starters are set is the point of this video. So we're going to have to do some things and that's a good position to be in. I guess that's where I'll talk about this because I was going to talk about it later, but it's a good position to be in for a team because you're not looking to go out and exercise tons of, free agency capital, which we don't have. You're looking to maybe re-sign a couple guys and then draft some guys to compete for those starting jobs. And if you lose a couple guys like Braxton Jones, you're going to start getting some comp picks. And that's a really good spot for teams to be in. It's where the Niners were for years and how they stayed competitive. You get those comp picks coming in, and it really helps to build through the draft. So the Bears are headed that direction. We move forward to the wide receivers, tight ends. You can see the ones we're losing: Olamide Zaccheaus, Devin Duvernay. I don't think either of those are critical. Not going to break the bank or not going to hurt the team that much. It's going to give Luther Burden an opportunity, which he most likely will start seeing more reps now. We kind of said that on this channel from the beginning of the year, that he would be, as a rookie, starting behind Olamide Zaccheaus, who is a vet who's had 500 yards a season every season recently, and he's played on multiple teams with multiple quarterbacks. He's a good person to help Caleb to adapt to a new system. And then Luther Burden would start to get more reps and take over as he adapts to the NFL. Ja'Day Walker could get more reps too. He's done very well on special teams. Very good hands, though, we saw in the preseason, so we can get more reps. But then you're likely going to see sign a low level, a cheaper, like a Devin Duvernay, but I don't think they bring him back. He looks old. He's not quite quick. Maybe Ja'Day Walker gets some reps, or I don't know. But either way, you're going to see two more wide receivers, one likely through free agency, a low-level one, and then one as a developmental one, probably a 5th, 7th rounder, undrafted free agent, maybe another Ja'Day Walker, something like that. I don't see premium draft capital with DJ Moore, Luther Burden, Rome Odunze, Colston Loveland. I don't see that. And then you'll also need free agent, undrafted free agent, third tight end, and maybe even a low-level cheap tight end. Maybe someone like Durham Smythe last year. Tampa Bay's backup tight end is a solid blocking tight end as well. He's going to be a free agent at the end of his rookie contract. So there's several out there, and that's what I would expect here for your third tight end. A Mercedes Lewis type of tight end, Cole Kmet blocking tight end. Cole Kmet's already that. And, maybe we surprise us and we grab a 7th rounder that's a steal tight end. Either way, it's not going to be a high priority for that third tight end, but there will be a need for a third tight end. So you're looking here, 2026, you got DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, Ja'Day Walker under contract, Lamade Zaccheaus and Devin Duvernay gone. Cole Kmet, Colston Loveland under contract, and Durham Smythe will be the one that's gone on the tight end room. So move to the defensive side of the ball. There's a lot of work needed on this defensive line. There's a lot of work. So excuse me. You'll likely see possible Daniel Hardy or Jonathan Ford, but restricted free agent, the way that differs from exclusive right is restricted free agents can negotiate with other teams, but the Bears would then have priority to be able to sign, a match a contract and sign a contract type of situation. So Daniel Hardy, Jonathan Ford, both could be signed back as your, practice squad down here. I'm pointing below these guys to show where on the depth chart. Below these guys, I wouldn't think Daniel Hardy because these 4 are basically your defensive ends, and then add one more defensive end to that, and possibly one more for 90-man camp to compete type of situation. Maybe Shamar shifts over and has a DeMarcus Walker type of role, defensive end and defensive tackle. That's not the point of this video, is to try to say we know what's going to happen, but these are the 6 guys that you have left on the roster, and it could be a really solid tandem here with how Montez Sweat and Austin Booker have been playing the last couple games since Austin Booker came back. They've been looking really good. The problem is up the middle. Grady Jarrett is looking like a shell of his former self. No penetration into the backfield, and Gervon Dexter doesn't do well doing it alone. Andrew Billings will be a free agent, Chris Williams a free agent, and Dominique Robinson a free agent. So some key free agents there. Will they sign one of them? Likely. I don't know. But we're going to look at this through the lens of what I think should happen. You're starting defensive interior here. We need a game wrecker. We need someone that can either take on 4 guys at once and barrel through them, or someone who can penetrate that pocket and allow these other 3 to be able to do their job too. That's what we need, and we're not having that right now. When we have 4-man rushes, we got to have some penetration. We're not getting it with just 4. So Gervon Dexter, I think, is fine for now. You can see he's going to come to the end of his contract after 2026, so this is going to be a pivotal year for him. Out of these ones that are left, though, he's the only one. So there's some basis here for the future, which is good or not good, because Dio seems like he's not playing up to that contract. He can be cut after next year, and at the rate he's playing, I would expect that. So I think we need a starting defensive interior, and I think it needs to be a priority as a starter. We need a starter caliber edge to rotate in here with Montez Sweat and Austin Booker. And you might say, well, we spent a 2nd rounder last year on Shamar Turner. Well, I think they really could use that 2 different ways, defensive tackle, defensive end. And your defensive line rotates more than any other position on the field. When you look at the snap count for the Bears, the highest, all right, for example, the highest in your secondary, your safeties and your defensive backs are going to play 100% of snaps. Jaquan Brisker has played more snaps than anybody this year, playing 100%. You look at the offensive line. They play 100% of the snaps as long as they stay healthy. The defensive line, your highest guys are going to play maybe 60, 70% of snaps again. They rotate out constantly depending on the sets they see on run defense, on pass defense. Get fresh legs and get penetration fresh. So they're going to rotate a lot. So we need a starting defensive interior for sure, and a starting caliber edge to compete with Austin Booker and to be able to rotate in constantly. That's why that's so important. You're going to hear people talk about edge being our greatest need. Maybe. Montez Sweat and Austin Booker are holding it down strong, but you do need a third one to rotate in solid. You've got Shamar Turner, you got Dio Dangbo. I don't know if it's a critical need. I don't know if the Bears will see it that way. I do see defensive tackle being a critical need. And you might say, well, we paid Grady Jarrett a crap ton of money, over his 3 years. He's going to get 40, I think it was $43 million. That's 15 plus million a year. It was offset 7 million last year, pushed it back 19 million this year. So it's heavily backloaded, but we're paying him so much money. Shouldn't he be a starter? Well, he should. Yeah, but he's not looking like someone who can penetrate and really disrupt the offensive line. So you need someone in here, and he'd be a great guy to rotate. You're going to rotate these guys a lot. So I'm not sold on Grady Jarrett being right there. I think we need some huge impact player here at defensive tackle. Then another rotational defensive interior and a rotational edge as well. Free agency. And when I say free agency, undrafted free agent, that could be a late draft pick as well, one of those 7th rounders. So there's definitely some need here on the defensive line. One of the biggest areas of needs probably the biggest area of need for the Bears, with the lack of penetration as well as the lack of run defense. The run defense has been rough this year, but it's getting better. Since Grady Jarrett did come back, the run defense has been better. Andrew Billings has played very well there. Chris Williams has actually stepped up this year. Who we resign, I don't know, but those are definite spots of need. All right, your defensive backs. This is an area, excuse me, no re-signed safeties. We have no safeties on the roster whatsoever right now. None. This is the roughest area to look at. This is all the unrestricted free agents on the team. Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Jalen Jones, Nashawn Wright, Nick McLeod, Jonathan Owens, and Elijah Hicks. The only 5 guys under contract next year: Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, Josh Blackwell, and Zoff Frazier. Will Zay Frazier even play next year? Who knows yet? So I've got him slotted in behind Terrell Smith as the backup. He's going to have to compete with people. I should even put more corners down here, because you look at next year, Tyreek Stevenson's a free agent. Josh Blackwell's a free agent. In 2027, we've only got 3 guys on the roster, and one of those is even questionable. You got Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon. So there's some big work needed here. I would expect the Bears to give a solid offer to an aging vet in Kevin Byard. He's played very well. Something similar to what he's making now. They're going to have to shift some contracts around and make that happen. Again, this is not the salary cap video, so that's not the point of this one, but I would expect that. Jaquan Brisker, if he can stay healthy, I'm not sure. CJ Gardner-Johnson is playing very well. Will the Bears offer him a contract at the end of the season is to be determined, but there's some big work needed here. So I put the biggest needs here: starting free safety, starting strong safety, a re-signing, or a free agent. They're going to have to go out and get someone to help solidify the secondary. And I think Dennis Allen will have a big say in that. I think he's a big fan of Kevin Byard for sure. With Jaquan Brisker not being healthy, I don't know, but I know he likes CJ Gardner-Johnson as well. So you could see some decisions based off of that. A backup safety, free agency as well. And then we're going to have to draft a couple guys here. It might be 2, one higher up safety, a corner, and a safety in the 7th round. In the 5th round, there's going to have to be some help at the draft. So this is the biggest one where, who knows what's going to happen, but there's going to have to be some help all over the board that's going to have to come. Kyler Gordon is the nickel now. CJ Gardner-Johnson would be the backup nickel. He's playing really well now. So maybe Kyler Gordon shifts to corner, shifts to strong safety. Tyreek Stevenson, I've moved him in the middle here because we've talked about that quite a bit, that he's more built for being a safety. He doesn't track and cover as well. His coverage grades aren't as good. Terrell Smith is a better man-to-man cornerback. So what the Bears will do this offseason, I don't know. But if I'm sitting there in Hallis Hall, that's the whole point of this video, is to kind of give a perspective of someone who sees the game different than the mainstream media sees our team. I would play around with Tyreek Stevenson and CJ Gardner-Johnson re-signing, and them at safety and at nickel, and have a little competition here with Terrell Smith and Tyreek Stevenson. And maybe Tyreek Stevenson doesn't win and he's off the team next year. And then Kevin Byard, I would for sure re-sign in this position. Linebacker position, there's not a whole lot to do here. We got a roster for next year, so you're likely going to get a rotational future type of guy through late draft or undrafted free agency, a 7th rounder type of thing again. Maybe even re-sign DeMarco Jackson. He played very well for us. Sign him to another vet contract, $1.1 million. Nothing's out of the question there. Because that's the only free agent we have, and Tremaine Edmonds has played up to his contract, so I do see him being here next year. And then after that, maybe we extend him. Who knows what happens? T.J. Edwards is here through next year. Ruben Hippolyte's here through next year, and then Noah Sewell and Amen Ogbongbemiga will come to the end of their contracts in 26. So some things to look forward to in the future. We have built well through undrafted free agency with with linebackers, so that's kind of where I would expect it to be. And then here's your Here's your special teams. Right now, you got Torrey Taylor, Cairo Santos, and Scott Daly. Scott Daly, a free agent again. Will they re-sign him? I don't know. We didn't know last year. And then, we brought in Torrey Taylor's teammate from Iowa, Luke Elkin, who ended up getting cut at the end. But you could see Luke Elkin come back in, and he's had some time with the Bears. Will Cairo Santos be the kicker next year? That's going to depend on how the rest of the year, this year goes, really. In my opinion, Can I go an episode? Can I go even with a preview without talking about Jake Moody, who's going to be at the end of his contract and probably sign? I don't know. Oh, I didn't do it. Jake Moody is who I'd like to see right here, but Cairo Santos is signed. The dead cap for him would not be terrible. Again, this is not a salary cap video, but dead cap would be around $4 million. It's you've got a small contract here. It's $4 million a year. You're not talking about eating a ton of cap with cutting Cairo Santos. So we'd be fine if we cut Cairo Santos. So that's where we stand now. That's 40 guys on the roster. We need 13. We've got 8 draft picks, 7 draft. We got 7 draft picks, 8 draft picks with the comp pick in the 7th round. So we got 8 draft picks. In fact, let me go here, and then I'm going to take me off screen. You can see here's what I listed together from all the needs of those. All the needs, and these are not in specific order, but you can see there's more than 13, but you got to build that roster and have people compete in the 90-man roster. For camp, you've got the starting defensive interior, starting caliber edge, rotational defensive interior, rotational edge, on and on and on. You can read that if you want to. I've highlighted here the draft ones to kind of point out as we move to the draft what I think will be the highest priorities, because you hear things on Twitter, you hear things online, you hear the talking heads. What's their basis for it? Well, I've gone through the entire roster. I've shown you where I've even talking about edge and shown Montez Sweat, Austin Booker, even Shamar Turner, and Dio Dingbo. Is that really something the Bears are going to focus on? We might feel that way, and we want a disruptor, but Montez Sweat has more sacks than games played in the last 3 games. Austin Booker has more pressures than anybody. He's been playing better than almost anybody in the league the last couple of games since he came back. I don't know if that's going to be the path the Bears go, but here is what I think will happen. As we stand right now, as we go into this guide for the offseason, I don't think too much will change before then. So day 1 and day 2 picks will need to be a combination of these things. And I know I've got 4 picks here, but this is where I see the real priority as we've gone through that roster where we stand. You need a defensive interior starter. You need a starting caliber edge to rotate. You need a backup safety or rotational safety. I shouldn't have put backup there. I should have put dot. I'll change that here on the next screen. Back a safety to compete and to be the future, because we don't have many, and a starting left tackle or starting caliber left tackle to rotate in and to compete with Theo Benedict and Ozzie Trapeel. And then day 3 picks, I would see a rotational running back, probably the priority on day 3, 4th round pick, backup safety, rotational corner, rotational linebacker, backup interior offensive lineman, developmental wide receiver. And you can put some of these other ones in there too. You can put another corner, another safety, another tight end, a 3rd round or 3rd string tight end here. You can put several things. This is likely what I want to focus on here for the Bears. So I'm going to stick to this area here as your day 1 and day 2 picks. And then the big thing a lot of people ask is, who are the blue chip talent in this class? And everyone's going to have a differing opinion on this, but these are who I would say are the blue chip talents so far in this class, and we'll get to the strengths of this class. But Reuben Bain Jr., the edge out of Miami, is the number 1 overall pick this year. He's hands down the blue chip talent of this class. Then I'd say Peter Woods from Syracuse, or Clemson, I apologize, from Clemson, defensive tackle would be right up there. Caleb Downs, safety from Ohio State. Spencer Fano from Utah, the offensive tackle, and Francis Mwaga from Miami as well, the offensive tackles. Those are really, in my opinion, your 5 blue chip guys that are really going to come in day 1 and affect a team and really give an impact to them. Some of these guys definitely will as well, so they're what I call on the verge, but I don't want to give out blue chip too fluidly, like make it seem like it's not something hard to established. So I'm going to put Mekhi Lemon and Jordan Tyson, wide receivers here. Quarterback, Jermon McCoy. Linebacker, Arvell Reese, who's actually one of the best linebackers we've seen in years, in my opinion. So I always say linebacker shouldn't go at the top of the draft, but this is one of those where I would feel like, yeah, that's a player you could take at the top of the draft. Jeremiah Love, you guys know I don't like running backs in the 1st round, but I think he's on the verge of a blue chip type of guy. I'm not going to put him there, though. I think he's kind of an Omarion Hampton, if you want kind of a comparison. I think he's very much like Omarion Hampton. And Omarion Hampton started off this year very, very well, but I don't think any team should take a running back in the 1st round. You already know the spill from me last year from the whole thing with top of the draft and Ashton Genty and the whole psychosis that went on last year with that. And lo and behold, I was right. He's doing exactly what I said. He'll be right around less than 4 yards a carry is what I said. Right now he's sitting at 3.8 yards per carry, and he's a bell cow. He's getting tons of touches because they need that from him, but he's not doing anything special on the football field. A couple big runs here or there, but he's not taking over the game for the Raiders. They have a terrible losing record because they didn't address what was really important. Kendrick Falk, TJ Parker, also very quality. This is a great defensive end class. This is a great class that need a defensive end. So there's a big reason why a lot of people say the Bears should take defensive end first is because it's such a loaded defensive end class. So that it could be a reason they do, though. And then Carnell Tate, wide receiver as well from Ohio State. So let's jump into, and I'm going to do this section by section, okay? So here's the day 1 and 2 picks for the Bears they need. I'm just going to go each section by section and give you guys just a little breakdown, kind of where I start my research from. And I'm not going to go deep into research today. That's going to come as we get closer to Christmas, to the end of the college football season. I'm going to start doing the heavy research once these guys have had a chance to play the entire season. But I'm going to show a player that I really think is right now maybe not projected to be in the first day 1 and 2. That's first, second, third round picks, and someone to keep your eye on if you want someone to look at. But I'll go through section by section. Here's kind of where I start. Look at PFF. Here's their ones that are really, potential for top 3 day 1, day 2, day 3. Or I'm sorry, day 1, day 2, first, second, third round picks. This is who they have listed out. NFL Draft Buzz, I'll tell you right now, is not a good place for this. They don't update very well through the college season at all, and they've got really old information. It's really inaccurate information. So PFF and NFL Mock Draft Database will be a better place just to look at players and get familiar with them. When you want to get into the research of it, you need to get into PFF and you need to go watch the film. And you'll see from here, the research doesn't, the numbers don't always agree with everything I'm saying, but watching the film is the bigger way to go on these right now. Watching the actual college game, which is why I like this. So here's your defensive interiors, just some names for you to get familiar with. Peter Woods is going to go way too high for the Bears. Caleb Banks, I like a lot. He has an injury. So a lot of people worry about the injury, but it's dropping his draft stock. So he could fall to the second round, which could be huge. Some team could snag him in the second round, but they might have an injury problem on their hands. Amari Washington from Oregon's looking really good to me as well. And there's a couple guys on here that look really. Christian Miller has some flashes of brilliance. But as I was looking through film and watching these guys, there's one guy that popped off, and that's Cole Brevard from Texas. He's huge, 6'3", 346, and he doesn't move slow at all. You see, PFF has him ranked at 175th. NFL Draft Buzz does not have him listed at all right now, and NFL Mock Draft Database does not have him listed at all as well. You can see his pass rush grades, his pass rush win rate, his run defensive grades are all really high. But the biggest thing that pops off on tape for me when I'm watching him is, you watch right here, I got the pointer right here. Number 99 right here. So you see they're going to run a run right up. Oh, I got to move my pointer to the top. I apologize. All right, number 99 right here. They're going to run a run right here, and you're going to see they're just going to plow through here. It's 3rd and 1, and there's just a short amount, 1 yard to go, and they're just going to plow multiple guys here. And watch 99 right there. That's Brevard, and they've got 4 guys on him right there. Four guys just trying to push him out of the way. And he plows through. Look at this. Plows through. There's the running back right there. And they're trying to push. They're trying to push behind him. And Brevard's under here. And he's just pushing through 4 guys. 4. And he grabs the running back. And he stops from. And this is against Ohio State. This is not some scrub team. That's against Ohio State. I'll let it go full live action. Stands up. It's incredible. And there's a lot of that. So he's someone I'm keeping my eye on, someone I think will become a day 2 pick or a day 1 pick. He's someone to keep an eye on. So I'm going to give you one of these from each section, not someone that I think the Bears will draft, not someone that I think is like the top of this draft or this is the number 1 guy, because we do that too much. And I'm going to show you some guys that I've been watching as I pull tape on some of these guys and as I've been seeing some stuff. Some guys that are kind of impressing me that could be rising boards to give you someone to look at. I hope that's something fun for you guys to do. But that's what I decided to do with this little video. So here's your edge class, and this is a stacked edge class. Look at, from just the first, just top to bottom. There's so many So many edges in this class that should make a difference. Ruben Bain, Kendrick Falk, TJ Parker, David Bailey. David Bailey, if the Bears fall right in, most think the Bears will fall in that 18 to 25 range with how we're going so far in the season. Heck, I'd love us to obviously be in the 30 range, make the NFC Championship, make the Super Bowl, even 32, win the Super Bowl. Who wouldn't want that? But as it stands right now, we have a good shot at David Bailey, and that's a great player. I'm not going to go into him today. I've done a little bit on him already, but David Bailey would be phenomenal if somehow the Bears ended up, or Cassius Howell as well, both of those at the end of the first round. So that's why you could see a lot of people mocking players to the Bears, because these guys on any other non-stacked year, if Ruben Bain, TJ Parker, Kendrick Falk weren't in this draft, David Bailey would be a top 10 pick. But this is such a stacked draft class that you're going to get some guys down here. So you could see, I won't be shocked to see people mocking an edge to the Bears, even though we have Montez Sweat, Austin Booker, Dio Dangbo, Shamar Turner. I won't be shocked to see that because we do need help, and you could kick Shamar Turner in. You could see Dio get kicked in as well, Dio Dangbo. So there's options here, and this is a great class to pick up an edge. So you could see it here. You could see Matayo, I can't say the last, Ugalelege. Anyways, his brother's in the NFL. Some of these guys, but the one I wanted to focus on is right down here, Zion Young. You see him on all these lists, 81, 82, 56. I think he'll be rising boards as well. I think he'll end up being a second rounder. So I've got Zion Young here as the one I wanted to focus on. You see PFF has him at 81, NFL Draft Buzz has him at 57.6, NFL Draft Beta was 56, which is a second rounder, but I think he's still overlooked by a lot of people. 6'5", 262 pounds. His pass rush grade and his run defensive grade are what pops off. When I watch him on film, so far, Zion Young, I'm really impressed with the overall player that he is from top to bottom, from all aspects of the game. He could be an impact player for some team from day one. All right, so he's number 9 here. Let's pull this down. He's in there right now. He's going to be right here when I restart this. So he's number 9. That's the end of okay, so here he is on the side. You see him hand fighting as the play starts. This is very low quality, so I apologize, guys. But you'll get the effect of it from these couple of little clips that I share here. Number 9 there, just quick, just speed, and nails the quarterback there. And I'll show another one here. So here he is at the start of this one. Oops, sorry. So here he is right here, kind of getting handled by both of these guys. He's got, and his energy, as we get more into the offseason, I'll show more. There's a coin flip video with him where he's just like, he's a psychopath, man. He's a good one. And there's an interview with him at the podium where he's a lot of Shamar Turner, where just a lot of energy, just a lot of excitement for the game. And you can tell he loves the game. So you can see he's fighting through right here. Still, both those guys are kind of, and you're going to see this is a screenplay. So they're going to let go of their defenders, and which, that's why he got through. But no, watch what he does here. So there he is. He gets through. They've released on their defenders. They're coming through here to be able to create the wall for the screen. And then here comes Zion Young right there, and just aware, just unrelentless. Relentless, not relentless motor, just like Austin Booker, and he deflects it down and stops the play from even happening. So here's a full in live action, boom and boom. He's just very aware. I'm very impressed when I watch the film on him. So I can see Zion Young going through the combine, going through the pre-draft process and impressing a lot of teams, and ended up being a late first round, early second round pick as we get into closer to the draft. And then here, move me off again, for the safeties aren't as deep, but there's some really good safeties in this class. One specifically is going to be a steal in the first round. Caleb Downs is a blue chipper. After that, you're looking at second, third, but right where the Bears are going to be drafting a safety, there's so much value in here. I got these switched backwards. Sorry. This is NFL Draft Database. This is mock. I don't think you guys care, but when I put them on there, oops. But there's some really good safeties on here. There's some quality third round safeties. So I wouldn't be shocked to see the Bears pick a safety in the third round, maybe in the fourth round even. There's Keon Sabb. I did the mock draft the other day, my only mock draft. I put him on there as a late rounder. Other places are seeing him rising up, like NFL Mock Draft Database. So that's already happening. The one I'm going to focus on here is Zakee Wheatley. And you see 82 there, 90-something there. Let's scroll to the next page. 94, 85, and 82 is what they have him ranked. Not quite as many forced as incompletions as you like, but everything else about, he hits so hard. He would be a Jaquan Brisker replacement or learning from him if we re-sign him to a short contract, or even a CJ Gardner, but at big size, 6'2", 202. And you guys know I like my big size safeties, but he covers the field well. He's got good coverage grades, but great run defensive grades. Hopefully YouTube doesn't flag me for some of these. They're grainy enough. Hopefully they shouldn't. But there he is in the back of the backfield. He can play free safety. He can play strong safety. But there he is when this one starts. It's the only one that doesn't circle him, so he nails him right there. Good tackler. See the circle on that one. Really good instincts. Really good instincts. See where the ball's going, watching the quarterback. He's off the screen on this one, but you can see him right there. Follows it well, and then just dives right in. Just right in ball. And then last one here. See him shed a defender there, or shed a blocker, and gets right to it. So Zakee Wheatley is someone I'm very high on. I can see him jumping up into the, a team that needs a safety, jumping up into the late second round, or if he falls to the third, this is a great one to keep an eye on for the Bears. Then last, I already pointed out Carter Smith. I'm going to point him out again because I think he's worth mentioning, but you can see he's not on any of these. But here's your tackles. This is a very solid tackle class. Do the Bears go first round tackle? I don't know if one of these guys fall to them that they like. Caden Proctor's, a lot of people have their eyes on him. And I can see for good reason why. Caden Proctor, huge, 6'7", massive, and he moves really well. So Caden Proctor would be a great fit for the Bears. Will he make it to 20, 22, 24? Who knows? I don't like Caleb Lomu as much. A lot of people do like Caleb Lomu. I'd rather go later on with one of these guys that we can have compete, if that's the case, and go with the defensive line. I think the defensive line is really what needs to be focused on and attention here. But there's some really good names here going all the way down this list. You can check out if you want. This is kind of compilation is where we stand now. We can look at this later too and see how things change as we get to the end of the college football season. But here's Carter Smith, and you can see everything about him: pass blocking grade, run blocking grade. When you watch him in open space, he's mean. He's a beast. He's an animal. Like, he's really fun. 3-year starter there, not all with Indiana. He transferred to Indiana from Purdue. He's actually on a 5th year. 4-year starter, actually, I think. I might have misspoke there, so don't hold me to that one. But true pass sets, 88.4 grade. No sacks hits this year. He's one of the best blocking tight ends and also run blocking. Combination, I would actually say so far he's the best combination run blocking and pass blocking, which is what the Bears need. Good size, 6'5", 313 pounds. And he is the left tackle here. So you'll see right here. This is just a good showing his run blocking, contains his guy really well, and no shot for the guy. Both of these are going to be run blocking, actually, because that's what really impressed me on these. But you'll see him here, contains his guy, and then there's just no chance. The hole does not get impacted at all. He stands his ground all the way to the touchdown. See him, high five. And the next play here, you're going to say they moved him over to this was unique to me. That's why I posted this. They moved him over here to the right side because the defense knows it too. The defense is ready for the run here. They've moved him to the right side purely to help run block, and you're going to see him maul his guy, pancake his guy, and create an open hole here for the run to go in. That's him right there, just man-caking his guy, just maul him over. They lead the way, go on in, and blah, touchdown. No shot. You guys are toast. So I'm very impressed with Carter Smith. Very, very impressed with Carter Smith. I think he's going to raise boards. You can see right now they've got him. PFF's got him at 133. NFL Draft Buzz does not have him listed at all. Transferred from Purdue. Sometimes that happens when someone's at a school where they're playing really poorly and they're not getting it, and then all of a sudden he moves to Indiana because they recruited him, basically, transfer portal. Goes to Indiana, and he looks like an absolute superstar when he gets around better players too. And he was a good player at Purdue. You can see over here, 80.1 grade last year. 2 sacks and 4 hits allowed, 6 hurries total. So, way above average, but not elite. Now he's at superstar level with Indiana. He's got other good guys around him, and same thing would happen with the Bears at left tackle. He would look more like this, having Joe Thuney right next to him, Cole Kmet blocking as well. He would look like you saw on film right there. So I really like Carter Smith. I hope he doesn't rise too high. I'd love to pick him up in the 3rd round and break the stigma of Ryan Poles picking 3rd rounders. This would be a 3rd rounder that I have a gut feeling he's going to move up into the 2nd round once you get through the combine and measurables and all the tape and the end of the year stuff. And especially if Indiana goes on a deep run in the playoffs, they'll get more and more accolades and more attention on him. He's going to get some attention. He's a high quality prospect. I really like Carter Smith a lot. So there you have it. That's the first look 2026 offseason roster draft guide. More than anything, where we have holes in the roster is what I wanted to show by that, where the team has specific needs, which players are at the end of their contract, showing you the rosters, showing you the the spreadsheet with the guide of where free agents are hitting and which guys we're going to need to sign. Who knows what's going to happen? That's not the point of this one, the speculation of that. But this gives you a basis, your start of kind of understanding the roster construction of the team and understanding, where the Bears have to go from here. Hopefully the geeks out there, the nerds who like to see all this stuff, hopefully this helps. Hopefully it's something that you can look back on. I do appreciate all of you guys tuning in, being a part of the channel, following with me on all of this. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to do this, and it's more fun because we do it together and because you guys are a part of this. So hit that like button, subscribe, share it with your friends, make comments. I do interact as much as I possibly can. I don't hit every single, I can't see every single one of them, especially as one of the videos, gets a lot of traction. I don't catch everything, but I try to interact as much as I can. I do appreciate you guys. So with that, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the guide. Hope it's something you can look back on and see multiple times. The Bears, this season's gonna finish great. I have a gut feeling we're gonna have a great offseason. It's gonna be even better next year. This is what gives me optimism for next year. The team's already pretty solidified. We're gonna add some things to it. Bear down.
Bear down, sports making Chicago proud.